Hello, hello, my lovely friends. Rainbow Pyramid here, and we are looking at immigration. Are people who are so-called anti-immigration, are they bigots? Are they racists? Are they uncaring? Are they far-right? What is the story with immigration, and why is it causing so many problems worldwide? There's obviously most recently been the protests and riots in the UK, but there have been problems in the USA, there have been problems in many other countries, and so let's get to the bottom of this immigration thing. Now, I am not anti-immigration. I am an immigrant myself. I'll tell you more about that in a second. So, underlying energy, rise above. I see only beauty and grace. So there's problems here relating to immigration that we all need to rise above. Does that mean we need to rise above and get over this notion that if people are from the outside, they shouldn't be allowed in? Or does that mean something else? So what is the energy telling us about immigration? Butterfly, transformation. When people go from one country to another, they can cause a beautiful transformation. But see here's the host country, or the country. Let's use the UK as an example. And there you get the migrants coming in, the little baby butterflies coming in. And what I'm getting from this card is when the migration is in proportion to the resources of the host country, then it can be a beautiful thing. So here in Australia, you have to be able to speak English, for example. That's one of the requirements. And in fact, even though my first language is English, and I studied my degree, I had 2 degrees in English. That was the language in which I studied. I still had to do an English course or an English test, I can't remember which, to prove that my English was of sufficient quality to be allowed to be a citizen in Australia. And so I'm originally from South Africa, then a decade in New Zealand, and now am an Australian citizen. And so Australia has got the right idea. They're keeping it in proportion. They want you to fit into the culture and the framework that's already there. And here the immigrants, and of course we do have a problem with illegal immigration, not as much as some places, but that's the energy is telling me migration can be a very good thing. And when I came in on a special skills visa. I had skills that that the country needed, put it that way. I had skills that the country needed, and that was part of my citizenship application as well. So dolphin, and this lady sitting on top of the dolphin, she's pregnant, so pregnant with possibilities. Dolphin playing, happy energy. So again, the problem is not with migration. Migration can be an excellent thing, and animals do it. It's a natural part of the natural world. Chameleon. Okay, so again, this is just reminding me of the Australian outback, although those huts look a bit African. The chameleon, to me, is the chameleon adapts to its environment. It's not the environment that's required to adapt to the chameleon. So in South Africa, we used to have chameleons, and we'd put them on somebody with a red jumper, and then the chameleon would go red. And then you'd put him on a green leaf, and then he would go green. And then you would put him on something else, and something brown, and then he would go brown. And so this is indicating to me that the countries can remain strong if the people coming in, the migrants coming in, adapt to the culture of the host country. If they're always harking back to their own culture, and this is not to say they shouldn't bring their culture into the new country, but it shouldn't supersede the culture of the new country. There's going to be a bit of a melting pot, but they need to honor the rituals and the values of the host country, and then we can rise above any differences that we have. Let's see more. Jackal. Okay, this is when bad actors are immigrating, and I'm getting big groups of bad actors. By bad actors, I mean people with predatory energy. So here in Australia, they're going to do thorough background checks on you, and you're not going to be allowed in if you've got criminal convictions, for example, for violent crimes. They don't want those kind of people here. And of course, sometimes people do come in with violent backgrounds. No system is perfect, but that's the goal of the system, to keep out the predators and the jackals. So what else can these cards tell us about immigration? So what I'm getting so far is that immigration itself can be beautiful, it can be natural, it can be wonderful, but no country has the resources to bring in just anybody. You can't have an open floodgates, and what you do want to keep out is the people that are violent, the people that mean your country and your culture harm. It is your country, your taxpayers have paid for it. So what else can the cards tell us? Remembrance. It's fine for immigrants to remember where they came from, to have their culture, but they need to know that they're in a new culture now. And see the pink roses, or the mauve roses, lilac? This to me is the migrants coming into England, but respecting the English rose, respecting the British culture, but putting their own shine on it. So not detracting from the British way of life, but rather bringing their own uniqueness to it. Loyalty. Yep. So it's really important to be loyal to the new country. If you're going to just come in and try to take over and try to impose your values on your host country, that's not the best way to do immigration. And in Australia, we had to do an oath of loyalty. I think it might have had to be to the Queen at the time, but we certainly had to promise to obey the laws of the country. And see, there's some clouds there, and there's a little, I don't know what that is, a temple and a rainbow. So it's fine to keep your religion, your faith, your whatever it is, but you have to first have loyalty to the new country and understand that you are coming initially as a guest, and then you're going to live in the country, but you need to, yes, you can have your ways of doing things, but it's not going to override, as long as it doesn't override the people who are inviting you in, the people who are resourcing you to come into that country. So again, I'm getting that the people of the country, the Australians, the Americans, the Canadians, the South Africans, the people who built that country through their taxes and their hard work, they're the ones that need to be treated with dignity and respect. And saying no to immigration completely, that's not necessary, but it needs to be done in proportion. Kinship. Yeah, find common ground. And when you come into a new country, find common ground with the people that are there. Work together. Don't be disruptive. So this is very much a message to the immigrants, in a way, these cards that I'm reading, this bottom line. Show some respect. Don't be divisive. Energy, wonder, beauty. Yeah, admire the beauty of the new country. Admire the traditions of the new country. And see here, the lady's got a crown on. Respect the monarchy. Respect the traditions. And again, we've got this rainbow bridge going up there. Rainbow bridge is often transition between this life and the afterlife, but maybe that is a transition between being in your home country and then in your new home country. So that's interesting. We need to pull some more cards just very quickly on immigration generally. Okay, I'm just going to pull two from this deck. Please can you like this video if you have? It really helps out the algorithm. Please subscribe if you haven't, and leave me a comment. What do you think about immigration? So this golden future, I'm going to take one from the top and then one from the bottom. So robots, set yourself free with wisdom. Yeah, and this to me is a strong message to the governments that are allowing uncontrolled migration. Your people, your population are not robots. Your people, your population have given you every year of their life. They've been faithful. They've mostly upheld your laws. They've paid their taxes. They've contributed to the food that people eat in your country. They've contributed to the economy. But they have feelings, and they deserve to be acknowledged. And it's no good just to acknowledge the migrants' rights, in inverted commas, without the hard work of the worker class, the people in that country the country would never have been built. The country would never exist. So this is a very strong message to governments that you must put your people first. Yes, bring migrants in. And yes, it's heartbreaking when refugees need a place to go. If you can afford it, yes, bring some in, but not to the detriment of your own people. Your own people are not robots. And the final underlying energy, music. Bring yourself into divine harmony. So there has to be some kind of a harmony. It's up to the government to lead the process. The government needs to show the way. The government needs to demonstrate that there can be harmony between the people coming in and the people who are already living in the country. So the government needs to show leadership as to how they're going to resource refugees, for example, coming into the country. They need to show how they treat their own citizens and the new migrants fairly. So, for example, in England recently there was all these protests and riots and things, and the police, I think it was a commissioner, came out and said, "Oh, you will be safe in your mosques. We will protect your mosques." Yeah, that in itself is not an issue. But as Neil Sean said, what about the Christian churches? What about the Jewish synagogues? You can't have a rule for one and not for others. Why not just say, we will protect everybody? We will protect everybody when they go to their places of worship, whether it's a mosque or a synagogue or a church or a cathedral or a temple, whatever it is. So it's time for the leaders of countries to grow a pair, quite frankly, to say no to people coming in an uncontrolled fashion, to say no, we don't have the resources to take 50 million people or 1 million people or 100,000 people. We don't have the resources. We have to look after our own people first. And when we've got the happy medium, the balance, then we can allow some people in a controlled fashion, making sure that they're not going to be these jackals. They're not going to be detrimental. They're not going to be violent. And everybody can live peacefully and in harmony. But you have to make the populace happy first. You have to make your citizens happy first. These are the people that built your country. And quite frankly, if the government is not capable of doing that, not capable of showing the leadership that needs to be shown, then maybe they shouldn't be in leadership. There can be harmony. There can be a bright future, as the first card we pulled, rising above. I see only beauty and grace. There can be beauty and grace, but it's up to the governments to show the way. It's up to the governments not to pander to calling people who want to be safe in their own homes, in their own dance classes. Don't pander to the media calling them, and the government calling them, far right wing. They're not far right wing. People just want to be safe. They want to be happy. And this again is another moving. It's an evolution, moving to the next step. And so, yeah, immigration on its own is not bad. Uncontrolled immigration, where countries do not have enough resources for their own people, is ridiculous. It's unsustainable. It doesn't take a genius to figure that out. And when governments just allow anybody in, including people who are violent and who are going to murder or cause disruption or whatever, the population is not going to be in harmony. The population is going to be frustrated. The population is going to be scared. And the only people who can fix it is the government. The government are the ones that need to grow a pair and do the right thing and control migration, because uncontrolled migration is not racist. It's not Islamophobic. It's not whatever other label you want to put on it. It's just human nature. People want to be safe in their own homes, and people want to be safe in their dance classes. They want their children to be safe in their dance classes. They want everybody to be happy. They want everything to flow. And if a sudden influx of too many migrants is causing them to be unsafe, they're going to be unhappy, and they're going to let you know about it, and it's going to cause violence. And I think about in America, where there's been some uncontrolled migration and people coming in, and there've been horrific murders. And there was one most recently last week where somebody who was driving a car and which killed some people, he had 7 times the alcohol allowed in his system, and he was an undocumented migrant. So governments need to take control so that we can live in harmony. And this just brings me in mind of, you know, when you drive and there's traffic rules and you got to stop on red and you go on green. When the light goes red, you don't go, oh no, bugger that, I'm going to still go because I feel like it's my right to go. It's not your right to go. There's rules and checks and balances in place, and everybody has to be told no sometimes, and everybody has to be told yes sometimes. It has to be fair. It has to be fair on the people in the country who need operations that need to be funded by government funding. How happy are they that they can't get their potentially life-saving operations when government's spending millions and millions of pounds or dollars housing illegal immigrants or giving them benefits or giving them food? There has to be some way of controlling the flow of people, controlling the flow of resources. And that's not to say never let anybody in, ever. But that's not to say just let everybody in. There has to be a happy medium, and there can be a happy medium, and a good future for all. And governments just need to grow up and do the right thing and make sure that their people are not forgotten or left behind.